Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Present.
Commissioner Carney, Commissioner Prager,
Present.
Commissioner Longino,
Present.
Vice Chair Smith,
Present.
Chair Krause.
Present.
For the record, a quorum is present with 9 commissioners in attendance. Thank you.
Commissioner Morales will now give the invocation and Commissioner Carney will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Join me, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you today to thank you for all your blessings. We ask that you bless our leaders and all those who are here tonight. As we discuss important matters, we ask for your guidance and your wisdoms in whatever we decide that is pleasing to you. Father, we give you all the honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now confirm the meeting agenda items. We have a request to table item 6 FY 24 33 ZC until the April 21st Planning and Zoning meeting. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Smith to table item 6 FY 24 33 ZC on the meeting agenda. Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Yes. Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Commissioner Prager,
Aye.
Commissioner Longino,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
We will now confirm the remaining meeting agenda items. Are there any questions or comments? If there are no objections, I will entertain a motion.
Thank you.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Morales and a second by Commissioner Carney to approve the remaining meeting agenda items. Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Commissioner Prager,
Aye.
Commissioner Longino,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
Are there any public comments at this time? If so, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Limit comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer on the screen for your reference.
Seeing none online.
Having none, we will continue on the consent agenda is the approval of item 5. Item 4. FY 25-18 PLT, the final plat of Eugenia Terrace Addition, replat number 1. Item 5 is March 17 meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Rhodes to approve items 4 and 5 on the consent agenda. Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Commissioner Prager,
Aye.
Commissioner Longino,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
Items 4 and 5 are approved by unanimous consent. We'll move on to item 7. FY 24 34 ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning request from general retail and single family to general retail and single family on 1.6938 plus or minus acres situated in the Maximo Merino survey Abstract number 14, City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 1818 North Third Street. The case will be presented by Senior Neighborhood Planner Christina Strickland.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is coming before you tonight for a recommendation to City Council. It'll go to City Council April 17th for first reading and second reading May 1st. So just a little bit of background, the site location is on your screen on the right. This is currently general retail and single family zoning. The owner intends to subdivide this into 2 lots. One is for general retail and one is for single family. This went to the Development Review Committee. It was reviewed March 25th and no issues were identified. And there is a concurrent subdivision plat that is dependent on this rezoning. So on your screen on the left is the zoning map. You can see that the subject location is surrounded by general retail, single family, and office 1. General retail provides for non-residential services along this section of 3rd Street and will be in compliance with the 1st and 3rd Street overlay. This rezoning provides a cleanup of the current zoning to allow the subdivision that's on the right-hand side of the screen. This segment, the northeast portion that fronts 3rd Street and has frontage on Shell, will be the general retail, and then the single family to the south is will have access on Royal and also has some frontage on Shell as well. The future development is urban residential. It is intended to maintain and conserve existing residential and provide neighborhood appropriate non-residential development. And this rezoning is in line with the 2020 comprehensive plan. On your screen are some site photos. The upper left hand is facing west from 3rd Street. This is the proposed zoning location. Part of this is general retail, and then in the back is some of the single family. On the bottom left is facing south from Shell Avenue. The little bottom left is the general retail, and then some of the rest is the single family. And then on the right is just an aerial snapshot of the undeveloped land. You can see its surrounding uses. It's got some single family and then some general retail as well. To the west of the subject property is the residential uses that are all zoned single family. And then to the north is the existing business along Shell that's zoned general retail and office 1. And then to the northeast across the street from 3rd Street is Lamar Middle School. It's zoned agricultural. To the south and southeast of the subject property are existing businesses along 3rd Street and Royal Avenue. They're zoned general retail. And then to the south are residential uses. This is across the street from Royal Avenue. On the left-hand side will be what the single family rezoning. This is located in the Garden Neighborhood Planning District, and this plan recommends an activated 3rd Street. You can see this on your screen here, which includes activating 3rd Street with some appropriate neighborhood commercial to include shared access, shared rear parking with sidewalks and landscaping along 3rd Street. Residential additions to the neighborhood should maintain a strong architectural character and engaging street environment that is found within the rest of the Garden District. Shell and Royal Avenue have been identified as pedestrian connectors with 5-foot sidewalks along both sides. And any single family development is considered infill development and as should be rear loaded in accordance with the neighborhood plan. For the thoroughfare plan and trails master plan, 3rd Street is a major arterial, so 6-foot minimum sidewalks are required on both sides. As mentioned, Shell and Royal have been identified as pedestrian connectors that you can see located here. And then on the bottom part of the screen, it does call for a 5-foot minimum sidewalk on both sides with a 5-foot planting strip as properties develop. This has been accomplished through the plat. There is a note on the plat that approves the sidewalks and will require the sidewalks both on Shell and Royal as these properties develop. There is existing water and sewer available to the parcel. There's a 6-inch water line along Third Street and a 6-inch sewer line between Shell and Royal, as well as an additional 6-inch sewer line along the western side of the parcel that's located here. For public notification and property owner notification, 17 notices were sent out to property owners within 200 feet of the notification boundary. No notices were returned in agreement or disagreement, and the newspaper printed notice of the public hearing was done so on March 27th in accordance with state and local ordinance, or state law and local ordinance. This rezoning request is in compliance with all the below mentioned plans. And staff does recommend approval of the rezoning request from retail and single family 1 to general retail and single family 1. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Only question I have, is there required an alley? Because there's only going to be one house that will be able to fit on there between Shell and Royal.
No alley is required.
So fire or nothing is worried about that?
The property, the single family house is going to front on Royal. And it is just for one single family home. So only one dwelling will be able to be permitted to be built on this lot and will have access on Royal.
So on Shell, what would be, there wouldn't be a driveway or entrance for them to get to that house?
There could be if they decided to develop it that way, but it's not required at this time as part of the rezoning or the plat, since they have public access on Royal Avenue and Shell.
They do have public access on Shell?
The single family development fronts Shell and Royal.
Okay.
This is a snapshot of the plat that is with us at this time. So how they're going to orient the house, I don't know at this time. They can orient it to face Royal, which they likely will. They have more property frontage that way. But they're not required to front one road or another or only have access or
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking from a safety standpoint on Shell to have all that. I mean, it's not, I don't know how long it is, but that property at the back of Shell, I mean, in front of that GR, but if that's, if it's the same owner, I just was asking if there was a problem with that, so.
no, there's no problem. It's not identified during the rezoning or the plat.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any other questions if you have any.
Commissioners, are there other questions or comments? This case requires a public hearing. We will now open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you are viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand. Provide your full name and city of residence for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer for your reference.
Chair, seeing no hands raised or comments online.
Alan Lytle, Temple resident. I have noticed several developments that we've been doing lately where they required sidewalks that go from nowhere to nowhere. Is that what's going to happen here? A sidewalk that goes from nowhere to nowhere, but it is a sidewalk. So just curiosity.
Picture that, the street sidewalk project.
And Shell too, right? It's
So-
be on both sides.
To answer that question, either the city can fund a sidewalk project on our own that would build a more comprehensive network, or we can rely on the development community to build bits and pieces as we go along. And then the impact of their development, they bear the cost of providing that sidewalk infrastructure.
Did you want to do on the Third Street? There's a Third Street sidewalk.
Oh,
project.
sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's kind of what you were getting at.
Yeah.
So the other exciting thing that I'm working on is an application to TxDOT. They have a transportation alternatives program. And this year I'm submitting a project for Third Street to fill gaps. So if you are familiar with that area, there's parts of Third Street that have great sidewalks. There's parts of the Third Street that have bad or no sidewalks. So we're putting together a grant application to fill those gaps, repair the deficient sidewalks, and cross your fingers, wish me luck. We will get funded. I've applied to this program several times before and have not managed to crack the code, but I feel good about this project. It hits a number of high points. It's got proximity to schools, proximity to downtown and other employment. You've got the library there, the historical neighborhood, and there's a lot of crash data that supports the safety concerns that the sidewalks are needed to get folks from walking in the unstable grassy areas. And there's areas where it's sloped, and it may be one of those cases, it's a matter of time. We haven't had the data to show the need yet, but let's get in front of that. So with any luck, we will get funded for a sidewalk. And to Mr. Lytle's question, if my grant gets approved before this development begins construction, then we won't have gaps of sidewalk to nowhere. We'll have more of a comprehensive network put in place.
Thank you, Jason. I also just wanted to add that when a sidewalk is required, we clearly have a lot of locations where along collector streets or arterial streets where sidewalks are required, but there aren't sidewalks anywhere. And so when they come in, new development will require it. And yes, the reality is there will be a sidewalk to nowhere for perhaps a while. But eventually, as development comes in, those other neighbors will require sidewalks. If we give a waiver for that first one, then we're essentially giving a waiver for every other sidewalk in the future. And so if at least establishing, hey, this is a sidewalk's required here, that's a very good reminder. Oh, we need, there needs to be a sidewalks required here. It doesn't get missed. And it opens up opportunities for grant projects. Neighborhood plans also address priority pedestrian corridors to say, hey, maybe there's no sidewalk needed or existing here, but one is needed in the future to get people from the neighborhood to services nearby. So that's kind of how we approach that.
Thank you, Brian. We will now close the public hearing. If there are no more questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept FY-24-34-ZC as presented by staff.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Carney to recommend approval of item 7 FY-24-34-ZC to City Council per staff recommendation. Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Yes, Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Commissioner Prager.
Aye.
Commissioner Longino.
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith.
Aye.
Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
We'll move on to item 8, FY-25-8-ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning and a binding site development plan request from agricultural district to planned development general retail on 122.152 plus or minus acres located in the William Gilmore Survey, abstract number 339, City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 6250 and 6576 Pegasus Drive. The case will be presented by Principal Planner Cheryl Maxwell.
Okay, thank you, Chair Krause. This shows the proposed schedule after tonight. This is set to go to the City Council on April 17th and then also on May 1st. This shows the location of the property. This is at the corner of Pegasus Drive and Moores Mill Road. The yellow pieces of property are actually on our ETJ, and you can see the property is divided with the alignment of the north outer loop. And the second picture here is an aerial, kind of a zoomed in view of the property. The site itself is currently undeveloped. You can see there's a residence right here that the site kind of wraps around. There are some residential uses to the south, on the south side of Moores Mill Road, also some on the west side and then on the north side as well. On the east side of Pegasus Drive, there's a mix. There's some residential uses towards the north, and then you have some retail and commercial uses. At the corner of Hart Road and Pegasus, you have a convenience store, and then just to the south of that is an RV park. So I've got several pictures. I'll go through these kind of quickly. These are views of the rezoning site. The first two are from the view from Moores Mill Road, and then this is from Pegasus Drive. And then we have a view from the west. On this one, just want to point out the red roof in the distance. That's the house that was in the center of the property. And these are properties on the west side of the rezoning site. I kind of have an index map with numbers. We'll be going from the southwest corner, kind of wrapping around to the northeast corner with the numbers. The first two are residential uses with frontage there on Moores Mill. And then you have a number 3 is another house. This is the one at the corner at the northwest corner. And then on the north side, we've got basically some acreage with some homes. I think there was some I'm not sure if it was goats, but some livestock that was grazing there as well. And then at the corner of Pegasus, just to the north is a residence as well. And these are properties on the east side of Pegasus Drive. Again, got the numbers starting from the north and then working southward. You have a residence at the very top. Then you have an abandoned home. This is the convenience store, the Quick Trips. And then you have the RV park. You have some undeveloped land, and then number 6 on the frontage along Pegasus is pretty much undeveloped, but the frontage it extends all the way to the General Bruce Drive frontage road, and the I-35 frontage. There's I guess it's more like a construction staging site, basically, as you can see in the picture right here. And these are properties on the south side of Moores Mill Road. Again, this is starting at the intersection with Pegasus and then working the way westward. The first one is the intersection showing the road. At the corner, there's a tract of land that's undivided with undeveloped with a lot of trees. And then you have several residences along Moores Mill on the south side shown here in number 3 through 6. And then 7 is a larger tract of land that's undeveloped. And then you also have a residence on that property as well. And then we continue moving westward a little bit farther down the road. The Encore substation is located on the north side of Moores Mill Road. Then you have a bridge and a culvert. And then again, some acreage that's undeveloped. And then 2 other residences there towards the end of the road. And these are properties that are kind of in the center of the zoning site. This is the red roofed house, single family home, right here at the number 1 site there. And then 2, the larger property here, we see the pond. This is the Elm Creek Watershed Authority Flood Control Dam number 10. They control that property. And then the next shots, 3, 4, and 5 are basically pictures of the North Outer Loop that's currently undergoing construction. So this is the zoning map of the property. The green areas are all zone agricultural district. Again, mostly ag in this area. Along the east side, there's some ag zoning as well as commercial. Again, that was the convenience store and the RV park. And then the LI zoning here near Moores Mill Road intersection where you have the construction site. On the west side and the north, there's a PD zoning with single family 2, MF2, and single family attached 2. This was approved in 2022. So just want to point out that that property, along with the property that's in this request, is part of a larger site that is undergoing development. It extends all the way to Brewster Road. And we actually have a plat for that entire property that's been submitted to staff and is currently under review. So this property is divided into 3 tracts, 1, 2, and 3. Tract 1 is under a contract to purchase. Tracts 2 and 3 will be conveyed to the city for marketing and development at a later date. The applicant's proposing a mixed-use development that will be consisting of detached single-family homes, townhomes, multifamily, and general retail. The proposed uses are all allowed in the general retail-based district except for multifamily. So there's a PD condition that allows multifamily to use only on Tract 1. So this is the site plan that's been provided. It's pretty busy. I want to point out this area here is that area with the pond that's outside of the zoning boundary. So just off to the west, this is Tract 1. Again, Tract 2 has frontage there along Pegasus, and then Tract 3 is on the south side of the North Outer Loop. The color code basically shows traditional multifamily in the orange color. The brown is also proposed for multifamily for townhomes or a cottage style development. And then the pink basically is retail use, which would allow office and neighborhood service as well. So for multifamily 2 as the base, well, it's not the base, but the PD condition that will allow multifamily use will allow a maximum height of 4 stories and density up to 20 dwelling units per acre. So for tract 1, the 2 multifamily tracts comprise approximately 45% of tract 1. So about 540 dwelling units could be possible at that density. Single family comprises about 20%, which is the yellow color right here. And then general retail about 30%, which is again is the pink color. Tract 2 is all proposed for retail use, and then tract 3 on the south here is proposed for general retail with the pink. The brown is townhomes, and then you've got single family homes along the frontage of Moores Mill, also here at the corner. Actually, that's part of tract 1 because it's on the north side. And then retail again along the Pegasus Drive frontage. So compliance with the entrance access design standards is required. So there's a PD condition that clarifies that an enhanced entrance, which is basically a wider entrance, 41-foot pavement width, is required for each 150 dwelling units. General retail allows detached single-family homes on a 5,000 square foot lot with a 50-foot wide lot. There's a PD condition that allows a reduction in the lot width to 45 feet and 40 feet on cul-de-sacs. And a PD condition also prohibits duplex use. So the next, this slide is in your packet. It basically has some tables. It's a comparison of uses that are allowed in ag versus general retail. And as you would suspect, there's quite a few more uses that are allowed in the general retail district. And again, that can be residential uses are allowed as well as office and neighborhood service. And then this is just a comparison as well of the dimensional standards, the lot sizes, widths, and so forth for the different multifamily 2, general retail, and the existing ag district. And this is the PD criteria and compliance summary. Again, this is also in your packet. Basically, we've gone through the criteria and feel that all the criteria have been satisfied. So this property has frontage on Pegasus Drive and Moores Mill Road. Pegasus is a community collector, shown here in the orange color. The North Outer Loop is a major arterial, shown in the blue. This is also a CIP project. It'll be a 4-lane boulevard. There's a future community collector running north-south with the orange dash line that bisects this property and will connect with the North Outer Loop. A proposed thoroughfare connector trail is also shown on the North Outer Loop. That's the red kind of dashed line. A 10-foot sidewalk will be provided on the south side with the CIP project, and the applicant will be responsible for a minimum 6-foot wide sidewalk on the north side. And also a minimum 5-foot wide sidewalk is required on the collector streets and also on Moores Mill Road. So these are some pictures and exhibits regarding the North Outer Loop. Again, it'll be a divided boulevard, 2 lanes each direction. This is a rendering, again, showing the median and sidewalks along each side. So with regards to trip generation estimates, we've broken it down to track 1, 2, and 3. And at this point, it's really kind of hard because we don't know exactly what type of development will go into the retail areas. Jason has kind of put together some rough estimates. Basically, between tracks 1, 2, and 3, you could be looking at anywhere from 14,000 to 27,000 daily trips. Do want to point out that the North Outer Loop, which is under construction, the capacity of that roadway as a major arterial ranges from 20,000 to 40,000 daily trips. So it should be able to handle the additional traffic. With regard to utilities, there's existing water and sewer mains currently on Pegasus Drive. Also with the CIP project, there's a 12-inch water line that will go along the south side of the North Outer Loop. And there's 2 15-inch sewer lines that will be running along the 2 creeks shown here in the drainage basins. So with regard to the comp plan, it's showing this area as industrial future land use, which is the purple color. Residential and commercial uses are not considered appropriate in the industrial category. However, on the east side of Pegasus, on the kind of orange-pink color, you have regional commercial. And this future land use considers multifamily as appropriate on a limited basis with a supporting mix of office, neighborhood service, and retail. So that basically is what is proposed here on the west side of Pegasus Drive. So again, do want to point out that in these plans, the boundaries are not absolute and they can shift. And that's kind of what we're seeing in this situation. There were similar rezonings that I talked about that were approved in 2022 for properties to the north and west, and those were kind of establishing or setting the precedent for residential use in this area. So we feel like there's already been some, modification to this future land use. And again, we feel with the shift, with the mixed use that's proposed, it kind of is in line with the regional commercial. So it's just kind of shifting that boundary over. So we believe that the rezoning is essentially consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan, and we do propose to have an amendment in the future just to kind of clean up this area to reflect the current trend of residential and mixed uses. So as far as compliance, we feel that the requested rezoning is in compliance with the future development plan, again, partial. It's compatible with surrounding uses and zoning, public facilities are available, and it is consistent with the thoroughfare plan. Notice of the public hearing was printed in the newspaper on March 27th, and notices were also mailed to 33 properties surrounding the rezoning site. We received 4 responses in favor, representing 6 properties, which are shown here with the green A's. There's one here, and one here as well. And 2 in opposition, representing 3 properties, and those are shown here on the south side. We did receive 2 more notices from some of the attendees. I believe those were handed out to you. Those were also in disagreement. I believe one is right here at the corner. I think all 3 are right here at the upper, northeast corner of the property of the zoning site. And let me go back one. The DRC did review this on March 3rd, and the recommendations have been incorporated into the PD conditions. So we recommend approval of the rezoning and the site development plan subject to the following conditions. Use and development will comply or conform to the general retail district standards except as follows. The multifamily use is allowed only on tract 1 per multifamily 2 district standards. And that's shown here with the 1A. There's 2 tracks here that would apply for. Detached single-family homes on individual lots may observe a minimum lot width of 45 feet with a 40-foot width allowed on cul-de-sacs and knuckles. And again, that would apply to the single-family areas. Duplex use is prohibited. Screening and buffering is required per our UDC. That is basically shown in the green dashed line. And this is just kind of to give you a general idea of where the screening would go. There could be other areas as well, but generally you would have the screening where you have agricultural or residential uses butting up against to the non-residential uses. And a minimum 5-foot sidewalk is required along Moores Mill Road, Pegasus Drive, and the future Community Collector Street. Minimum 6-foot required along the north side of the north outer loop, and we've shown that with the 3s. Landscaping is required per our UDC. Compliance with residential subdivision entrance access design standards, and again, an enhanced entrance is required for each additional 150 dwellings over 300. Subdivision plat is required. Minor revisions to the site plan can be approved by the planning director. Major revisions would have to come back to the planning commission and city council. And for the residential uses other than multifamily, a minimum 1 tree per dwelling unit is required in the front yard. And that is basically it. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot of information.
Commissioners, are there questions or comments?
The 4 notices that you sent out that you received that were in agreement, I was looking at the addresses, and so none of those addresses listed are near this property. So I'm guessing they own like commercial property there, but they actually live somewhere else.
Right. The one here at the corner, I know that was the abandoned home. So obviously no one is living there. I know this tract is undeveloped. The one at the corner was the one with all the trees, so nobody's living there either.
6588, I believe, was listed in your.
Oh, well, because like this one, like 13701 Old Highway 81 in Troy, that's like 4 miles north. 307 Kylar Street in Troy, that's like 4 or 5 miles north. 805 Paintbrush Lane, that's down by Kegley, that's even farther away. But if they were sent these, they must own, it doesn't like, they probably
They
own
own the
the
property.
property or
Right.
something, but they're not actually living
They're
there.
just not occupying.
Yeah,
property.
so I just feel like it was worth pointing out the 4 that were received that were in agreement, they don't live here. They have property there and they might be there on a daily, but it's not where they live.
Right.
So.
There is a house at this property at the corner, that's being rented out. So again, the owner is not occupying that
Okay.
property.
Cheryl, is there a update when the outer loop is going to be finished or completed, or what percentage of it's done now? Do you know?
I believe, I want to say June
June
26th.
2026. I don't know
Right.
what percentage we're at right
Yeah.
now, but
It still has another year, good year.
yes, sir.
Right.
And is there any improvements planned for Pegasus Drive after that is done?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that the plat is in now, so we're reviewing, the right of way. There may be additional right of way dedication, but I'm not aware of any improvements that are.
You
planned
mentioned,
for-
I heard you say that. What is planned for, somebody has something in for that one, or?
This property is part of a larger development,
Uh-huh.
and so a subdivision plat has been submitted for review for this property as well as, it's a total of like 420 acres to the
Right.
north and to the west of this. So that's all being reviewed right now.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
So what do they have planned for right-of-way access for the existing home on the 5 acres, about dead center of that property?
There is an access easement right now. I will admit, I'm not quite sure how they use it right now. Honestly, with the construction that's going on, I was out there taking pictures and I wanted to drive down to the house and take a closer picture, but there was no way I was going to cross that roadway that's under construction. It had just rained and it was a little bit muddy too, and I have 4-wheel drive. My van was not going to make it.
Are you
So-
talking about the 1122 house, the red roof house? Or-
Yes.
Yes.
But they are showing that there's an access easement that I believe it connects all the way to Pegasus Road right now. That's how they currently have access. But again, I'm not sure how they're actually using it right now with all the construction. And I
Okay.
don't know if anybody is here from that property. Yeah.
We live right up from.
Yeah. There's some locals here that might have more insight on how it actually
Sure, I just,
works.
in the plat, I don't see a right-of-way noted for access to that property. The only access is showing through the conservation area, which I don't think they'd be able to access as a driveway. I see the note for a future collector street off of the outer loop project, but there's no designated right-of-way or anything as far as access to that property goes.
I know I'm flipping around here. Let me look at the aerial here. I know with the plat, wait, okay, so here you can see the driveway. There's actually a couple, but this is the one that I took and I could not get across, but anyhow.
So there are plans to continue using that existing driveway?
I believe so. Again, with the plat, I believe there is an access easement that's already established. That will be shown on the plat. But to my knowledge, that would provide the access to the new outer loop, or I'm not sure if it might go all the way to Moore's Mill. I don't really know.
Go to the page that showed the outline of what they're proposing, the Go Forward couple. With the diagram that they're gonna.
With all the different
Oh, go
colors.
back to the
and
site plan.
shops and stuff.
And we're looking to approve 1, 2, and 3 tonight, right?
Right, right.
Right here.
Yeah. It's there. And we're looking for approval of all 3 sections, right? Is it?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. And, those are, I want to say these are kind of basic PD conditions. If you feel it's, more appropriate to add some or be a little bit more stringent, it's well within your purview to add to those. I'd hoped that we'd hear from Mr. Escasa, the owner of the Red Roof, but we haven't had any response from him or heard from them.
Okay.
No other questions?
And then what I'd asked Brian in the workshop a little earlier is down Moore's Mill Road, there is the industrial thing that's going for second reading at city council. Is that correct?
Oh, down Pegasus.
Down
Yeah.
Pegasus, I'm sorry. And so that is another, with the North Loop coming in, that's exactly why a lot of this stuff is starting. I mean, at the end of the day, so.
This corner is, it just kind of cut it off, but I believe it's this piece that's
Right.
currently under rezoning.
Okay.
Or that was just approved, right?
So it's actually on Pegasus, that's right,
Right.
sorry.
Mhm.
They were gonna have to upgrade Pegasus Road in that,
Well,
correct?
I believe a
There's
a
space.
portion of it, to accommodate the truck traffic.
So this
so-
one doesn't have to upgrade Pegasus?
Well, that will probably come to light when we know exactly what's going to be planned there. I mean, right now it's just the zoning, it's just general retail. With the plat, we'll review it as well to determine if, there needs to be more right of way for future improvements. But, the difference, I guess, in the one here to the south is we know what is proposed. It's, warehouse office. This is just,
And that was their only access. was Pegasus.
Right.
I find it difficult to require one development to upgrade the road and the next one not.
That's,
But I think economic development is working on sections 2 and 3. Is that correct?
right. They,
Adrian and them, they're working on marketing that in the future.
I'll let
Correct.
Brian answer
And
that.
so that 2 and 3 are planned to be conveyed back to the city or the Temple Revitalization Corporation. So clearly, it'd be evaluated at that time whether road improvements are needed. Are they, is there going to be additional access onto the outer loop? So to answer your question, Commissioner Smith, Vice Chair Smith, which is a great one because we evaluated the same thing of, hey, have required some improvements for the development to the south, given that's a much smaller scale and that's the only access that they have. So, any impact on Pegasus, they don't have another option. And so it's easier to quantify what their impact is going to be. This is obviously 122 acres that'll have access from a variety of different locations. So we can just hopefully you can rest assured that we're going to evaluate that to, look at that entire corridor and see if Pegasus needs to be added to a city capital improvement program project. So it's just a question of, this is much more conceptual.
And as it's marketed, more than likely it's going to happen. So yeah, I see.
any other comments or questions? This case requires a public hearing. We will now open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you are viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand. Provide your full name, city of residence for the record. Limit comments to 3 minutes, and we will have a timer on screen for your reference.
Chair, I am not seeing any hands raised or chat comments on the virtual platform.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lori Bowerpitz. I live at 6588 Pegasus Drive, which is in section 2 of this proposed area. I'm totally in opposition of this being placed, anything retail directly beside my house right there. Or even warehouse, whatever is proposed. We have a family, blended family, so, this would affect, any type of retailer could go in there. And I'm just not happy about it. Plus the non-improvements that you guys have done in this area is atrocious before you're gonna even come in here and start building something different. You haven't even fixed the roads. You've messed up the roads in front of my house where sometimes I can't even get in and out of my driveway. Cause I have construction people coming up and down my road all the time now and blocking my driveway. You know, so I could just see that this is going to continue to be an ongoing battle to get in and out of my driveway when there's any type of construction, and you haven't done any improvements to the Pegasus Road at all for us. But we're gonna talk about developing a piece of land right next to my property to put what, smokehouse, alcohol, whatever you want to put in there. It's just not acceptable. And I totally oppose it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Pitts. Are there others that would like to speak?
My name is Martha Naomi Smith. I live at 6720 Pegasus Drive. We have about, I think it's 24.36 or something like that acres. Part of it is in the, I guess you call it a pond, we call it the lake. We have goats. I know that this is behind Laurie's house. Part of that land there is in this right next to where they would put something. And this has been a country home. My dad bought it in like 1947, I think. And we, my sister and I inherited it from them, and we've lived out there for a number of years. And actually our neighbors behind us, which are not included in this, but they're right behind us there by the lake, they moved out from Troy to be in the country. And I kind of almost laughed, you know. But anyway, I'm just thinking about the traffic, the noise. I don't know what they intend on putting there. Retail, I don't know what that exactly means. But if they have, you know, park lifts and all this other stuff, I just don't, just do not want that. I really do not. My husband doesn't either.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Oh, and another thing, I was wondering about our taxes. We pay, we're in, we're zoned agriculture. My husband and I have homesteaded it and all this, so our taxes are very low. Right now, on our land and everything, our taxes were just below $500, all of it. And I don't know what's gonna happen there.
I can't speak toward the taxes in any way. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If not, we'll close the public hearing. And if there are no further questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
Item FY-25-8-ZC as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Walker to recommend approval of item 8 FY-25-8-ZC to City Council per staff recommendation. Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
No.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney, Commissioner Prager,
No.
Commissioner Longino,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
No.
Chair Krause.
No.
The vote is 5 ayes, 4 nays. The motion carries.
We'll move on to item 9, FY-25-9 ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning and a binding site development plan request from commercial and light industrial to planned development commercial on 1.544 plus or minus acres located in the George Given Survey, abstract number 345, City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 5300 South General Bruce. The case will be presented by Principal Planner Cheryl Maxwell.
Hey, thank you, Chair Krause. This case is on the same schedule, City Council, April 17th and May 1st. So this shows the location of the property. This has frontage on South General Bruce Drive as well as Charter Oak Drive, and it's just north of Kegley Road. And here we have a zoomed in view of the property. There are some buildings currently on site. It was previously used as Extreme Hoses and Hydraulics, and before that it was Tim Bell Nursery. United Rentals, I'm sorry, is occupied on the property to the north. On the south, there is Temple Tent and Accessories, which I believe is probably no longer in operation. And then here you can see on the west side, you have some vegetation and then the railroad tracks. And just on the other side, directly across the interstate with the red kind of squares here, that's Kubota. Just wanted to point that out. So here's some pictures of the property and surrounding area. These are views of the rezoning site from I-35. Do want to point out there's a large 36-inch live oak tree right here. This is looking northwards. This is kind of looking southward, and here's a large 54-inch cypress tree. And then this is the view of the backside from Charter Oak Drive. This is the United Rental site, which is on the adjacent property to the north. These are views from I-35. This is looking south, and then this is looking north. And then this is the view of that United Rentals from the backside, again, from Charter Oak Drive. And then this is the view across the road from the Kubota property, looking across, and you can see that the cranes are still pretty visible. This is the adjacent property to the south. Again, this is Temple Tent and Accessories, which is currently, the building's currently unoccupied. And this is the back side of it, the view from Charter Oak Drive. And then this again is the property on the west side where you have the strip of vegetation and then the railroad track. And this is the Kubota site. Just bringing this up because we, in the report, we do mention this one. So that's a similar rezoning case. You can see that this has a concrete surface. There's some nice landscaping along the frontage. And then this is the view from the United Rentals site and the property to the south looking across the interstate. And you can see the red, but you don't see that the higher cranes that are visible. So this shows the current zoning of the property in the surrounding area. This property has split zoning. It's commercial on the south half and light industrial on the northern half. It's also in the I-35 retail sub-district. So the United Rentals, again, is leasing the property to the north. Right here, they wish to expand onto this site. This use is classified as heavy machinery sales, storage, and repair, which is allowed in both the LI and commercial zoning districts, but not in the I-35 retail overlay. The existing use, which is also in the overlay, is considered grandfathered, but it's allowed to remain, but it cannot be expanded, including onto the adjacent property. Rezoning to a planned development is required with specific condition to allow this use in the retail overlay. So this is the site plan. There's a few issues that we wanted to point out. The majority of the site that's not shown with the green landscaping is proposed to be compacted gravel. This is for parking and storage of the equipment. Concrete or asphalt is the required surface. The applicant does not agree to this requirement. A minimum 15% of the area is required to be landscaped. They are showing some areas here along the frontage and along the backside. They've not provided calculations, so at this point, we can't quite confirm that the 15% has been met. As I pointed out earlier, there's two large trees. This is the 36-inch live oak and then the 54-inch cypress. We're asking them to go ahead and retain these trees rather than cutting them. These are very large trees and kind of rare to have this along the interstate, which kind of enhances the overall appearance of the corridor. There's an existing 30-inch gravity sewer line that crosses the property. This will also need to be shown on the site plan. It's currently not shown. Do want to point out that improvements to the existing site were recommended. The property to the north to kind of have improvements on both this property and the one to the north, but those are not enforceable. The applicant did not agree to include it in the rezoning request. A detention pond will also be required for any added impervious cover, and additional fire hydrants may be needed along the street frontage. So we're concerned with expanding this non-conforming use onto the new property that could accommodate a conforming use. It's not like it's just a strip of land. It's a larger site that could, again, accommodate a use that would be conforming to the zoning as well as the overlay. The purpose of the overlay district is to enhance the city's image and visual appeal along the I-35 corridor. This is an excerpt from a Unified Development Code that basically summarized the purpose of the corridor. Do want to point out to exercise greater control over the aesthetic, functional, and safety characteristics of development and redevelopment, where higher development standards can effectively enhance the city's image as a desirable place to live, work, and shop. So we do not believe that the proposed use and site plan meet the intent of the overlay. This is in your packet. It's the PD criteria and compliance summary. Again, there's several criteria. We've gone through several of these, and we do not feel that the criteria is met. I'll just hit on a few. One is basically compliance with the UDC and other city ordinances regarding the asphalt and the concrete, the environmental impact and preserving of natural resources with removal of the trees. We do not feel that that criteria is satisfied. Development is in harmony with the character, use, and design of the surrounding area. We don't feel that that requirement is met either, since it doesn't fit the character of the I-35 retail overlay. And I'll kind of skip over the rest of these. Do want to point out that we did feel that there was a yes, it was compliant with the thoroughfare plan, or basically not affecting the thoroughfare plan. And open space just in general is not required for the non-residential development. So with regard to the comp plan, the future land use is shown as regional commercial. So the commercial zoning is in line with that. However, the proposed use that requires the amendment to the overlay is in conflict with the overlay. There is no conflict with the thoroughfare plan and the trails master plan, and utilities are available. So notice of this public hearing was printed March 27th, and notices were mailed to 5 properties. This shows the boundary. We've not received any response. And the DRC did review this and identified issues as summarized in the report. So we recommend disapproval of the requested rezoning and the site development plan due to incompatibility with the I-35 corridor, retail subdistrict overlay, and noncompliance with applicable codes. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Property, it's kind of located where the highway's supposed to go, right? Where I-35 is expanding, it's expanding on that side, isn't it?
I can't answer that.
No.
Do you know?
Jason, that's
I couldn't
one of the
quite
questions
hear.
I was going to ask Jason.
Yeah, what was the question? I didn't quite hear you.
Yeah, I-35 is getting expanded right there. I assume part of this
Yeah.
property is gonna get taken out.
We don't know which direction they're gonna go yet.
And there also is a 500-foot rule with the railroad. So it's closer to the railroad, so there's a bigger possibility that it would go to the other side. That's one thing. But the other thing, the survey, I filled out that survey, and I think it went out to all citizens. But the 35 overlay, where is that at, or the results of, is there going to be a result meeting or drawings done?
So I think the survey that you're probably referring to is related to the I-35 corridor master plan.
Right.
And so that has just kicked off. In fact, I mean, that the survey was the kickoff. There have been no public meetings about that yet. And so that's all part of the input to help council determine, what the community wants to see along I-35.
But that's something y'all are involved in also.
We're involved in, we're not leading that effort. It's coming out of the city manager's office, but yes, we're involved.
Does the applicant know that there's things going to be happening on I-35 that possibly could?
You'd have to ask them. That's not, I mean, as Jason is our text dot whisperer. And so if Jason says that they don't know yet, they don't know yet. So there's nothing to
Yeah,
communicate.
I'm the same way. I'm waiting till the meeting.
Yeah,
for the summer.
exactly. So if Jason doesn't know, then nobody knows.
Don't pump me up too much.
Well, sorry, it's just true.
Jason, just make sure I'm at that meeting when it happens because,
Let me gaze into my crystal ball.
yeah.
But similarly, recently, we allowed Kubota to come in. Now they have made it very nice over there. Could we not allow this United Rentals in the same instance if they're willing to do the concrete and asphalt?
And that's why we pointed that out, because it, technically it's the same use.
Yeah.
But I think there are some nuances there in terms of Kubota was moving from a different location on I-35 to a vacant, building. Of course, this is a vacant building, but the big distinctions are, all the infrastructure was there. The paving was already there. They upgraded the building. They added landscaping. The fencing was improved, the signage, and they just didn't have the the size of that's more of like a personal machine size rather than industrial size. So it's just a reality that in terms of, hey, you're going down I-35,
Yeah.
bucket trucks
I would argue they're the
versus
same size equipment. They
or-
just,
yeah.
United Reynolds puts the booms in the air, right?
Yeah.
They could keep them down.
Sure. So that was the distinction. And so, we did meet with the applicants, and I know that they want to talk about this and worked with them to try to get to yes. But honestly, the gravel, I mean, the fact of, hey, what is there? Do we want to see a viable business there? Absolutely. Are there other opportunities? We think so. And you've got plenty of existing trees that would come down. You'd replace it with gravel, and we think it would look like a perpetual construction site. So, which, from my guidance from city council of what is currently required and the intent of the overlay, I can't with, good conscience say that that's going to be good for the overlay.
I would propose that if they were willing to meet the same standards that Kubota is held to, then it would be allowable.
Sure.
Other than that, then I would be against
Yeah, and we discussed it with them. They've indicated that that's not feasible for them to pave it all. If they were to use, if they were just using part of it and going to pave like a parking lot and leave some of the existing vegetation and add the landscape buffers, which is what we originally talked about, but it came back that, they were willing to put in the buffers, but pretty much everything in between was going to be existing building or gravel. And we just, that it just kicking up dust and looking like I-35 is under construction again before it's not. That was not something that we felt comfortable with.
Well, the bottom line is the applicant doesn't agree to that requirement. So
That is right, but they're here. They could probably give you some hard numbers but they indicated that was not feasible. Get it? That's a lot of paving, but to us, that just says that's not perhaps the right use for the location.
the case does require a public hearing. So we will open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you are viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand. Provide your full name and city of residence for the record. Limit comments to 3 minutes, and we will have a timer for your reference.
Thank you. My name is Michael Rogers, El Dorado, Arkansas. I'm a architect with Michael Rogers Designs. I do work nationally with United Rentals on various projects, and this is one that we're working with them as a client. They in turn are looking to negotiate a lease with the property owner who is also here today. I appreciate the time of city staff working with us, trying to get to the yeses that we're talking about over the past few months. And just want to be sure that we're clear that this is first of several phases that we have moving forward. This phase is really identifying a property that we can even enter into a lease for. Once we know that it's even feasible to enter into that lease, we'll be coming back with civil drawings, development plans, being sure that we're meeting all of the requirements especially because of the size of the lot. We're over an acre. We'll have to do some stormwater management, things of that nature. So the site plan that you see before you today is very much, it's a working document so that we can have this conversation. The other issue that we want to bring to everybody's attention is this is not a new business development, at least from my client, United Rentals side. While this is a new property, this is an expansion of existing business that is in your area, that is doing well in your community. And we want to see the growth of that. In order for that growth, we've identified a property that's adjacent to where we are right now. And I know there's a lot of reference to like the Kubota that is across the interstate. That was a new property that was moving into a new location. What we have in this case is an existing business that is thriving, that is wanting to expand to an adjacent property. It's not to where for us to just pick up and move somewhere else and then we have to adhere to those guidelines. We want to stay where we are and just expand where we are. And without this property, we're not able to do that expansion like we would. And then one of the last things I want to mention, as far as the improvements go, I know we can kind of go through the list, but because this is an existing location, there are some things that are grandfathered in on the existing property that is there, that we are actually looking to be a good neighbor. We want to be a part of this. So whenever we are talking about asphalt and gravel, we feel like for the way that we use the property, it is best for it to be gravel, because whenever we start talking about hard surface, impervious surface, that is everywhere. We are parking equipment everywhere. When we talk about landscaping, we're wanting to adhere to the landscaping agreements. When we're talking about trees, having those two large trees is a safety concern for us across our properties. Backing equipment into those trees, having to work around those trees, really is an issue of use. And then whenever we're talking about fencing, we're wanting to extend the black ornamental fencing across both properties, not only this property, but making it conform on the existing property that is there. I know I'm going to run out of time very quickly here, but it is to where we want to be a good neighbor. We want to expand the business that is there. But there are some points to where, like if asphalt instead of gravel was the only issue that was here, we feel like we could then go back to my client with the property owners that we are leasing to. And if that was the only issue that was here, then we feel like that we could work something out between the two of us, because we understand that any development that goes in here would have to adhere to these standards. And if I can have the height restriction real quick, since that was mentioned, I understand the 15-foot height restriction that would be placed on the property. What we were looking to do was have the 15-foot height restriction across the existing property and the new property for the frontage half facing the interstate. So instead of allowing us to have the high units on the existing and low units on the new, what we were proposing was that we have the low units height restriction across both properties. The 30-foot requirement would be on the back side of both properties. So we would push our higher equipment back. A lot of times the reason that the booms are raised up is simply a footprint thing. If we did lower the equipment down, we would have less units on the site. We would have it to where we would, when they raise them up, they don't extend them all the way up. We'll adhere to that. But just so that information is out there as well.
Mr. Rogers,
Thank you.
are there further comments?
I just wanted to clarify in terms of working with Mr. Rogers and the Genowitz family. It's been good to work with them. We've been trying to get to a yes, as mentioned, but another one of the issues that we had discussed with them was trying to improve the existing site, and the fact that they decided not to include United Rentals in the rezoning, that ornamental fencing, which we had talked about and thought that was, that would be a good way to kind of make it a little more cohesive and improve the existing site. But that because they didn't include that as part of the rezoning, we can't enforce it. So, that that was one of the prerequisites that we talked to them about is, look, we can discuss it, but what we have done in the past is try to make sure that whatever, if there's an expansion or if you've got a use that's not allowed, that you definitely improve the existing. And there is no landscaping on the current site. The ornamental fencing would help, but just either way, we wouldn't be able to enforce that. And so that was kind of a prerequisite of, hey, if we can support this, it's going to be for the entire site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the proposed right now is to leave the existing buildings that are on the old Tim Bell nursery.
I believe the one at the corner
Wants to be
is going to be removed.
Okay.
I believe this one.
Yeah, they're real old. Okay.
There are no further comments. We'll close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion.
I'd be okay to approve it. I don't really understand why they're recommending not to. Like, I paid attention and I read and it's over my head. So I don't think the gravel is an issue. It's all like, look, I'm looking at it's all industrial, like commercial stuff. Like, it's just not clicking for me, like what the problem is. So if I were to make a motion, I'd say like, yeah, approve it. Sure.
I think the issue to me is where, I'm real familiar with that area. I pass it every day. I'm there. I rent from United all the time. But the issue is what's going to happen with the I-35 overlay and what the city, and I know that's a project that's going to be coming in the near future. But if you look at, over the years, what we've done on the other side of the highway with all the way from Johnson Brother, Don Ringler, Garland Shelton, Kubota, it basically is trying to improve the look of the city. Is that one an eyesore? Yes. Is Wilson Art big concrete slab that needs to go away? Yes, that's a problem. And but if we approve this and let them expand their footprint there with lots of other conditions, I'm not sure that it's going to suit the city to what the 35 intent is. And again, as the I-35 whisperer says, we don't know what's going to happen with I-35, but it's not going to happen in this area for quite a while. It's going to happen midway going to I-14 first. That's going to be the first piece. This piece will be where when it goes from there to the loop, that's going to be quite a ways down the line. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but
Yeah, so the first phase is through Belton to 363. So that would be the first phase.
that's concluded in the first phase?
Yes, sir.
All the way. Okay, I thought it was going to stop at midway, then go after that.
No, it goes all the way up to the loop and includes
Okay.
ramps to the loop, and then the next two go towards Rogers.
All right, I'm moving.
But I think to your question, it is several years away. Probably 4 to 5 years. There's still not identified funding for the full construction.
Okay.
I would be fine to approve it with some conditions. So.
You want to state those out?
Yep,
or-
I move that we approve FY-25-9-ZC. With conditions that they meet the concrete and asphalt, and improvements to existing site be included. So they'd have to meet the new conditions on the existing,
Because
i.e. the fence, parking, landscape.
because that was not included in the request, it is beyond the scope of what you can require today.
Okay.
That's what.
Sorry, it's beyond
I
the
was
bounds
some legal help here.
of what was notified.
Just shoot it down and let them bring it back.
So we either approve or we disapprove.
You can approve with conditions, or you can disapprove, but you cannot go beyond the bounds of what was in the request, what was noticed.
Would you like to table?
Yeah, and I would also add that the trees should be able to be removed. I mean, if you're gonna have parking.
Yes, and Mr. Roger, I'll defer to him, but he has indicated that they would, that they would consider including the existing site.
3 minutes is hard for a negotiation.
And to be fair, you know what,
For some-
he's the applicant,
Yeah.
and the timer should not apply to the applicant.
Oh, okay.
That's why I took it on.
My brain still had it on. Okay, so with the timer off. So if we felt like, with a condition, as former chairman of Planning and Zoning Commission there in El Dorado, let me kind of set up kind of the way that we would see this going. If we felt like it was a condition that the existing property would need to adhere to fencing, landscaping requirements, then we would submit for that. Because as far as my discussions with the client, the landscaping buffer is something though that 25-foot landscaping buffer is a hard thing. Even with this property, we're completely taking out all of that existing parking area that is there now to put in a 25-foot landscaping buffer. I don't know that we would be able to do that on that existing United Rentals property without really killing that side of where the street is there. So we would need to consider that. And even with the 2 trees that are being removed, we completely understand. We need to replace those in kind with the caliber inch and go through that process. So that is in complete agreement. But I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I do feel like, if
Just to make
If
it
we
work
need
for
to come
you,
back.
you would need to have the trees removed.
we would need to have the trees removed from a safety perspective from my
Yeah.
client.
I agree
Yes.
100% on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, in the future, whatever happens with 35, I mean, those trees are eventually gonna go. I get what y'all are saying, but, they might not, I don't know, but I mean, they were put there by Tim Bell when I was a kid, and that was the thing, I mean, they've been there a long, long time.
And even in the interest of like the 35 expansion, from our understanding, even by the time this takes place, United Rentals would love to be a part of that and to be a expanded tenant in that while that is all happening. So our lease agreements are multi-year leases, but at the same time, it's not a forever, lease. We felt like, even if something was to happen next, by the time it went through the planning stages and construction phases, we would well see out our lease by the time that is completed. So we were not concerned at that at all.
Okay. But Cheryl, you did say that their existing property, what y'all were proposing is the 25-foot landscaping.
Well, and so when we met with them, we recognized that providing the 25-foot landscape buffer on the existing site wouldn't work. I mean, they would be cutting off their nose to spite their face, expanding yet removing a lot of their usable property. So what we would continue the conversation on is landscaping where they can without losing their footprint. And so what that probably is the front, but really, the right of way. So, there's the photo of, I guess let's look at yes, there you go. So that may be textile right of way, but it's, clearly, I mean, right now it's not landscaped and could be. So those are the kind of conversations, we could continue with them. But yeah.
And we would feel the need, even if we had to, I'm going to throw this out there, even if we did have to table this to be able to come back with this together, we understand that. Our goal tonight is to move this forward. And for me, that would be moving it forward, to be able to go back to the property owner, and say, let's get our paperwork in order. Let's go back to our tenant and say, this is the condition that would need to be placed on it. And then we could bring both properties together, because I know it is an issue to discuss one property and not have an application on the other property. So if that was the general feedback that we received, then we could do this again.
That was my thought, was table, because if you, if we do a denial here, it's gonna delay even more.
Right. I'm having to come back.
So would the 21st?
It's a 6-hour
be
drive either
long
way,
enough to
whether I'm
table?
coming back for the next one.
My daughter's about to go to Arkansas. I just drove that 7.5 hour drive. I'm
Sorry.
like, crap, this.
Would the 21st be long, that 2 weeks be long enough to table it?
We would have this back into the planning department this week,
Okay,
as far as an
So,
application.
that being
What the
said,
timeline is.
And so Kyle just confirmed that you could table this one
yeah.
and then
let
he has
them-
to apply for the
Very
other
well.
piece. And they would dovetail together on the same
Perfect.
agenda.
That being said, I move that we table item number 9 FY-25-9-ZC to April 21st meeting.
Second.
To April 21st?
Is that feasible,
I
or
think we need a little bit more time, to get the notices out.
Cheryl, give us a date?
I mean, I know that there's a 10-day newspaper notice, so.
Let's
it would
just
work.
do it for date is a date indeterminate okay while we discuss things? Earliest available P and Z date.
The first one in May. Yeah, probably that May 5th, but.
If you're okay with a date indeterminate, that would probably be a little bit easier for us to work out what we can.
Okay, I agree.
All right.
Oh, second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Rhodes to table item number 9 FY-25-9-ZC until an indeterminate date.
Very good. Single word.
Tiffany, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Commissioner Prager,
Aye.
Commissioner Longino,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Krause.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Is there further business? If not, the meeting is adjourned at 6:53 PM.
Leave those there for.
I believe so.
Please put your water. I would like. Y'all wait a minute, that's the bag safe. Did you bring, do you have the bag? Yeah, the bag is right there. I got your brand.
Thank you.